You ever notice something? When everything gets loud, when the world keeps shouting at you, telling you what you should be, what you should do, who you can't become, silence becomes your weapon. Yeah, me, the guy who's always yelling and laughing. Even I learned this. When you're silent, you grow. People think silence means you're weak. They think you're scared, or confused, or defeated. Let them think that. Because while they're making noise, you're sharpening your mind. You're building your will. You're studying your pain. You're learning who you are without anyone's voice in your head. Silence is where you remember your dream. Silence is where you rebuild your strength. Silence is where your next move is born. When I was locked up, alone, nobody cheering, nobody helping, you know what kept me standing? The silence. Because in that silence, I heard my own voice saying, keep going. You don't always need to roar. You don't always need to prove something. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing you can do is stop talking and start working. Let them shout. Let them doubt. Let them laugh. You stay silent and come back louder than they ever expected. You know what silence really teaches you? Who's real and who's not. When I'm loud, everyone hears me. But when I go quiet, that's when I see who actually pays attention. Most people only like you when you're entertaining them, when you're useful, when you're giving them something. But the moment you stop talking, the moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you stop proving your worth, they disappear. Good. Let them. Because silence exposes the truth. Who's with you? Who's against you? And who was only pretending? When I trained alone, when I was beaten down, bleeding, barely standing, I didn't hear anyone shouting my name. I didn't hear anyone running to save me. It was just me, my breath, my heartbeat, and my dream. And in that quiet place, I realized something. If people leave when you fall silent, they were never meant to stand beside you when you rise. Silence cuts fake people. Silence builds real strength. Silence shows you the path that was hidden under all the noise. So don't be scared when things get quiet. Don't panic when nobody's clapping. Don't feel lost when the world goes dark. It just means you've entered the part of your story where you grow stronger than anyone expects. Stay silent. Let your next move speak for you. You know why silence is powerful? Because it makes people wonder. When you stop talking, stop explaining, stop telling them your plans, they get nervous. They start asking, why is he so calm? What's he thinking? What's he planning next? Did he get stronger? Good. Let them guess. Because when you're loud, people can predict you. When you're quiet, you become unreadable. And the most dangerous one in any room is the one nobody can figure out. When I walk into a fight, I don't need to shout. I don't need to warn anyone. I don't need to prove anything. I just look them in the eye. No words, no fear, just silence. Because silence shows confidence. Silence shows you're not shaken. Silence shows you already know what comes next. And people can feel that. They can feel when your spirit doesn't break. When you go quiet in real life, you'll see something strange happen. The ones who underestimated you start watching you. The ones who laughed at you start worrying. The ones who doubted you start whispering your name. Why? Because silence makes your presence heavier, sharper, stronger. It tells the world, I don't need attention. I need results. And when those results come, everyone who ignored you will hear the roar of everything you built in silence. There's something else about silence people don't understand. Silence is where you transform. When you stop wasting your breath defending yourself. When you stop arguing with people who will never change. When you stop trying to impress those who don't care. You finally have energy for the one thing that matters. Becoming stronger. When I trained, when I grew, when I changed, nobody saw it. Nobody clapped. Nobody believed in me. Good. Because that's what real growth looks like. Quiet, painful, unseen. People only see the fight, but they never see the nights you spend alone, the doubts you swallow, the dreams you refuse to let die. They only see the victory, never the silence that built it. You want to know the truth? In silence, you find your focus. In silence, you find your purpose. In silence, you find out who you really are. And once you know who you are, nobody can shake you. Nobody can break you. Nobody can turn you into something smaller. That's why silence isn't weakness. It's preparation. Because while everyone else is talking, you're rising. You know what silence really teaches you? Control. When you stop reacting to every insult, when you stop flinching at every setback, when you stop letting every small thing disturb your peace, you become dangerous. Because most people, they break the moment life whispers no. They crumble when people ignore them. They rage when things don't go their way. But you're learning to hold steady, to breathe, to watch, to understand. That's strength most people never touch. In silence, you become your own captain. You choose your direction. You set your sails. You decide when to speak and when to let your actions speak louder. You don't need to shout. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to convince anybody of anything. Because the moment you stay calm, while the world tries to push you around, people feel it. They sense it. They know this one can't be moved. Silence is not the absence of power. Silence creates power. And when the time comes to speak, to act, to rise, your voice will shake the world. You know what silence showed me? Who's real and who never was. When you stop talking so much, when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop giving people access to your thoughts, your dreams, your every step, watch what happens. People who only wanted entertainment, they get bored and leave. People who only stayed because you were useful, they disappear. People who were only loud supporters, they quiet down first. And it hurts. Yeah, it does. Because you start seeing the truth. Most people want your noise, not your heart. But the ones who stay, the ones who don't need constant updates, the ones who don't panic when you go silent, those are your real crewmates. Silence protects you from the people who never cared, and it reveals the ones who actually do. You don't rise by pleasing everybody. You rise by letting the right few walk beside you. And the rest, let them talk, let them judge, let them misunderstand. They don't know your journey. They don't know your battles. They don't know the storms you're walking through quietly. But I do. I know that silence isn't weakness, it's a sign you're growing. Because lions don't roar all day. Warriors don't swing every minute. Kings don't announce every move. And I don't either. I watch, I think, I prepare. And then when the moment is right, I strike harder than anyone expects. You know what silence gave me? Clarity. The kind you can't find when everyone's talking over you. When you're loud, you hear the world. But when you're silent, you finally hear yourself. And that's where real strength starts. Because deep down, there's a voice inside you that knows exactly what you are, what you want, and what you must become. But that voice is soft. It won't scream. It won't fight for attention. You must go quiet to hear it. And when I listen, I learn something. Most of your battles aren't outside. They're inside. Doubt, fear, old wounds. People who said you'd fail. Moments when you thought you weren't enough. Those enemies don't shout, they whisper. And the only way to defeat whispers is to become silent yourself and face them head on. That's where I fought my hardest wars, not on the battlefield, not against monsters, not against men stronger than me, but in the quiet, alone, with nothing but my thoughts. And if you're fighting the same war right now, good. Because the strongest version of you is forged in the moments nobody sees. Silence doesn't break you. It builds you. It clears the noise, the lies, the doubts, and leaves you with truth. You're still standing. You're still breathing. You're still fighting. And that means you're not done yet.